Palantir CEO Alex Karp, I've got the full interview from yesterday, folks. Yes, and I'm pretty fortunate I got this, actually. I know they put a small clip out on YouTube, but I got the full interview I want to react to here in this one. And I recorded Squawk Box yesterday. I didn't even know Alex Karp was going to be on it. I recorded it yesterday because Andy Jassy was going to be on, okay? And so meanwhile, I'm just basically just kind of skipping through, but you can kind of see the image. And all of a sudden I'm skipping through to try to get to the Andy Jassy point. Also, I'm like, wait a minute, Alex Karp's on there. And so I'm like, oh, this is fortunate. So anyways, I doubt very many folks have been able to see this full interview. So I want to go ahead, show you guys it, react to it here, kind of give my 2 cents. He definitely says some very important things that need to be discussed in this video here today, folks. Some very, very important things. So hope you guys enjoy this. Hope you enjoy me bringing this content to you guys. Thanks for being subscribed. 25,500 plus subscribers now at this point on the channel. Also, Patreon squad, I just posted all my moves I made in there 24 minutes ago. If you want access to my Patreon to see all the moves I'm making in the market, check out the pinned comment down there. That will be to join us in there. If you're looking to apply to join my private stock group, the private wealth group, then that will be in the description area for an application for that. Let's get into this.
It's going to really crush a lot of businesses because for 2 reasons. One, it pen tests the underlying architecture. Because if you run an algorithm or an LLM on an architecture that actually doesn't work or is crumpled.
LLM, you're going to hear that term a lot. That's a large language model, okay? So think ChatGPT when you hear that word choice.
Or crispy, or somehow is only built for one use case, which is a lot of it won't work. It will also crush architectures because there'll be an inability on the LLM side or on the large language model algorithm to well, how do I create a barrier between them and my trusted network and the classified and non-classified? Also, how do I have a barrier between the algorithm or large language model and decisions that are ethical, involve ethics or norms, or I have to trust this before I shut down this plant, or I can't have everyone in every single office or every single hospital bed be of one demographic. And our business is built to do that. So the other thing about large language models and, quite frankly, algorithms is it's just really good for America because, first of all,
it's good for America because
it's while we struggle with imposing trust on it, and of course my company is in the business of that, and we have, I think, enormous advantages. If you try to do this in China or Russia, there are just too many things you're not allowed to research. The rules are going to be too stringent. They're not going to actually be able to build this. They're very far behind. The culture for building it is not exactly there. And then it's good for America because we have great allies in Europe, and we're just much quicker at adopting technologies.
We all talk about OpenAI, but obviously Google's trying to do this. Others are trying to do this. Is this kind of tech?
And I think that's a fair question, right? Why are all the big giant tech corporations in the United States why is the United States just completely dominating tech, right? I mean, you look at all the biggest tech companies in the world: Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta, all the biggest, most important ones in the world, right, are all in the United States of America. And you got to ask yourself, why is that, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of reasons, but I think one of the reasons is United States, we just adapt very quickly to technology, and we're always trying to be on the forefront, whereas Europe definitely lags in a massive, massive way, right? And then you look at other countries, whether it be China, Russia, Alex Karp speaking about here, and they're just, there's too many rules in place. They don't want their citizens being able to get this information or that information, and it just slows down the whole process. And so I think that's always something we have to fight back against in the United States of America, is making sure we aren't putting these things in place. So everything's only giving you one side of information or anything like that, or you have all these limits, because then you're just going to limit your technology, and eventually some country's going to pass you up.
Technology ultimately become a commodity, or is there something very specialized about it?
The large language model is a lot comes down to powering the consumption. So they're going to be very, very large language models. I think they are going to end up being somewhat specialized, but the real value, the part is going to be the intersection between your business logic, your business norms, or your laws and ethics, and large language models. And the people who get all those three are going to make money.
Should we be scared about the power of AI, the power of these models? Because right now they're being used to, write poetry.
Yeah,
when they can actually create a transaction or do something on the battlefield, what happens?
They already are. So they are very dangerous. But the reason we have to continue down the path is, A, we have adversaries that seem to be bereft of any kind of ability to control their behavior.
Right.
And B, the American economy is still the most important in the world. And what do we know about the American economy? It's the most adaptive.
Are we at a transformative moment? I mean, when you hear Sam Altman talk about the future of this, there are some who say this is like, the browser, back in the day, that this is one of those moments where we're going to look back in time and say, this is it. This transformed.
I think there are two moments, honestly, is somewhat ill-modest of me. The war in Ukraine and large language models have fundamentally changed the world. And you cannot put this back in the box. But then there's the question is, how can you trust either? So you don't want the AI in the hands of Russia and China that we have. You don't want the LLMs. What is the trust variable? And first of all, society cares about that. It happens to make trust work. You need an ontology, you need branching, all these technical terms. It exists, but the simple layman's terms is if the LLM tells me gives me information on cancer research or how I should distribute hospital beds, is that what I actually do? And that requires a control function between the business logic, ethics.
That's so important. So important. Such an important point he makes there, right? Because if you're going to trust AI to make decisions for you, basically, right, you need to be 100% confident that that's the right decision to make, right? Like he was saying about like a cancer research or something like that, right? Or just think about any decision for your business. You have to be able to trust that is absolutely the best decision. If you can't trust that, then I don't want to say there's no point in having it, but then it's just a glorified way of kind of looking at data, I guess you can say, right? You've got to be able to see these models. It's got to be able to spit you out something and say, we need to do this. And you've got to be able to trust that that's the right decision for your business. If you can't trust it, right, it's no different than if you have somebody there's somebody in place that makes decisions for organizations, right? Let's say your chief operating officer, your COO, is the one that makes XYZ decision, right? And let's say you can't trust them making decisions, then, what do you have them in that place for? They serve no purpose at that point in time, right? You've got to be able to trust that they make the right decision. No different than with AI in this, proliferation of AI over this next 5-10 years. You've got to be able to trust that as a government entity or just a corporation in general. You've got to be able to trust what it's telling you to do.
Of Elon Musk and some others who say there should be a 6-month pause, or there should be a pause at all in terms of the advancement of this type of technology.
If we didn't have the adversaries we'd have, I would be very in favor of pausing this technology completely, but we do. And that's why pausing is just, you can't pause it because it's a structural advantage both for the LLMs and algorithms. So leaving, getting algorithms and LLMs to work in a classified context is going to take very specialized, I could explain how it works, but the fact is this is going to be a bonanza for the U.S. economy.
How concerned are you about China?
If you're scared about AI, right, just think about this logically for a moment. If you're scared about AI, no matter what, this is going to happen. So who do you want to have control of that, right? Would you rather have China be in control of that? Would you rather have Russia be in control of that? Would you rather have them be the leaders, right? Let's go back to the 1940s. Let's talk about the Manhattan Project. Would you have rather had the United States be in control of that? Or would you rather have had Germany be in control of that? Or somebody else in those days, right? You got to think about these things because I can tell you it'd be a very different world if the U.S. was not, let's just call it, in the leadership position when it came to that, right? And so these are all things you have to consider in, from all different angles, right? And if you really think AI is any sort of danger, then some country is going to lead in AI. It's going to happen no matter what. Who do you want to be the leader? That's the big question, right? And so I just think that's, food for thought that everybody has to consider out there. Because if it's not us, it will be somebody else.
Right now.
Everyone's very concerned. I think we were in a conversation this morning where I referenced, when we started first talking about China and America, and I was saying that this was not going to end well. That was a controversial statement. Now it's consensus. America is fairly unified in its idea that that China and people running China are not acting in a way we can accept. And I think the consensus, if I had to guess, in China is we're never going to get this back on the rails with America, so we should up the aggression.
When you think about, for example, the debate over TikTok, is that a real debate?
No, because they shouldn't be.
I love this. This is such an original thought by Alex Karp here. Watch how simplistic he puts this, and this is fascinating. Watch this.
Idea that we allow a product that is really main purpose is to degrade American intelligence while not allowing American products to work in China is just factually absurd. And, it's really interesting. I mean, I'm very pro-American democracy, but we have to get better at simple decisions. This is actually a simple decision. We have one country that allows another country that's adversarial to put essentially a technology in place whose sole purpose is to make us slower and worse. And we're not allowed to do the same on the other side. But obviously, this should be either we both get to do it or neither side gets to do it.
But do you think is that a national security concern?
There are lots of national security concerns. I'm saying there's a common sense element here. One country allows X, the other country doesn't. Let's just start with a very common sense. We both get to do it or neither side gets to do it.
Let's talk about your business. There has been some pressure on the stock, as you know. You're coming off your first quarter where you achieved profitability on a GAAP basis. You said you expect to generate a profit for the fiscal current.
The way Alex Karp sits in the seat sometimes cracks me up. He looks like he's ready to pounce on that man. Holy smokers, that ain't no jokers.
Quarter, or for current fiscal year. Why do you think the stock has not moved more on that?
Look, there's a lot of macro factors but honestly, if you look, I think one of the few stocks where our market cap is higher than when we DPO'd. We can't get into our current earnings or say anything that would be new, but I'm looking at a U.S. market that's doing very, very well, and over the medium and long term, I'm a very proud holder of Palantir shares.
Okay, so as you know, Jim,
get into our current earnings or say anything that would be new, but I'm looking at a U.S. market that's doing very, very well.
I'm looking at a U.S. market that's doing very, very well. And now put these pieces together, folks, okay? You heard his confidence just there about obviously the U.S. market. But also, if you read the latest kind of press release or whatever you want to call it that the company put out a few days ago, right? Alex Karp in there mentions how there's been an uptick in strength in the business. So over the past few months, he specifically mentions, right? And so put these pieces together, and I'm just going to go out there on a limb and say maybe this company is going to beat the yearly numbers that the company thought they were going to do. Because based upon the confidence I'm hearing in this interview, based upon the press release, once again, whatever you want to call it the other day, and you put these pieces together, I'm just going to go out there on a limb and say maybe things are shaping up a little stronger and a little better, maybe a lot better. I don't want to go that far, but maybe at least a little better than the company actually anticipated. And so maybe we're going to see bigger profits than we thought we'd see. Maybe we're going to see better revenue in 2023 than we thought we might see based upon what management thought we would see for this year. So interesting. This is two pieces of the puzzle to put together here.
And over the medium and long term, I'm a very proud holder of Palantir shares.
Okay, so as you know, Jim Cramer had some choice words for the company, called it a company made up for memesters.
Yeah.
What did you think when you saw that?
He doesn't actually look at the financials because I don't spend any time talking to him. And what I really think is you take my Palantir and you take whatever anyone says about it. Let's talk about it in a year. Let's talk about it in 2 years. I'm very happy.
So that's put another piece of the puzzle together there. He's not talking about talk to us in 5 years, talk to us in 10 years. He says talk to us in a year, talk to us in 2 years. A man with that sort of confidence, speaking about the next year or 2 years, I'm guessing he sees good things coming down the pipe here. That's all I'm going to say, okay? That's a third piece of the puzzle to put together just in the past few days of like, maybe things are shaping up to be a little better and a little stronger than anyone expected, including himself, Alex Karp. Interesting.
I actually love when people attack us because it's like, great, okay, well, we'll show you our cards over the next couple of years.
What's going to happen in 2 years?
a lot of the questions that are being asked, like how does AI move from being either a danger or a trinket, are going to move to, oh, these 5 companies, these 10 companies in the sector implemented large language models, algorithms, and did it in a way that created trust, and they won the whole market.
Alex Karp, never one to hold back, doesn't hold back at all there, and has a whole bunch of views on a number of fascinating topics, Joe.
I would almost defer to him on certain things. I mean, I was just nodding, Andrew. Whoa.
That's too much, Joe.
Yeah, no, there's never too much.
Look at you.
What
Look at you there, Joe.
Here's what I thought. The question about TikTok was so
Look like
fascinating.
Max Headroom there.
No, but it was so fascinating. Is it national security? Well, if you, from the inside, make us dumber and slower, is that a threat to national security? Yeah, it is, because you are making our youth dumber, even if you're not stealing stuff or, what we normally think of as, bellicose behavior. I mean, if you are, from the inside, rotting us out, that is a national security problem. And then the other thing he said...
Sure, but then what do you do? Is Facebook rotting America from the inside?
Social media
is
across the board.
Coca-Cola rotting our body?
I mean, how about terrible books?
Yeah,
how
but if you're deliberately, if it happens because of human nature, it's one thing. But if you're over there thinking about how do we destroy this other country from the inside, and that's different. The other thing,
well,
Andrew,
the question is, right.
The other thing that was fascinating was, is AI dangerous? Yes, but not as dangerous near term as our adversaries. And that's fascinating. So, and I agree with that. 10, 20, 30 years, you might get to the 2001, you worry about are humans superfluous to a machine world? That's something that's way in the distance. In the meantime, we got China with Taiwan. We got Russia with Ukraine. In the meantime, you need to use AI. You need to make sure that you don't let these adversaries get ahead. He's absolutely right with that, too. Those are like...
Well, the big question... The big question for the business, though.
Yeah.
The big question for the business of Palantir is they have these data sets, and can the data sets leveraged with generative and large language model AI, actually set them up for even more success, or does large language models and AI make that value less? And that is the big question for Palantir going forward.
In the hair... to me, he's even more brilliant. It makes him look exponentially more brilliant.
Einstein.
Yes.
Einstein.
It's like Mac. I would.
See, and that's the thing with Alex Karp. Some people hate him, some people love him. He's divisive. He reminds me of, like I always say, Palantir's always reminded me of the closest thing to kind of Tesla. From just so many different angles, and even the leadership in terms of Alex Karp and how a lot of people view him as being like a genius and so smart, but he's also divisive, and some people don't like him, and that's definitely a trait that Elon Musk has. I just think Elon Musk has it on a much bigger scale, and obviously Elon Musk is like insanely famous, right? Whereas Alex Karp's more just famous in the business community, so it's differences there. But I would love to hear any of your guys' in-depth thoughts in the comment section about any of what we just discussed there, as far as TikTok, as far as views on AI, being the first country to do it, and being in control of that, anything that was discussed, because obviously that's a lot of in-depth stuff. And if you ever want to send me any thoughts on anything, you can also send it to me on Instagram as well, Financial Education Jeremy. Always happy to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on all these different complicated subjects, let's just call it that. So appreciate everybody joining me as always. Thanks for being subscribed. Thanks for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did. And also, if you want to see all the moves I made here today as well as in the future, check out my Patreon. That is going to be the pinned comment down there. If you're looking to apply to join my private stock group, the private wealth group, you're looking to take your investing to the next level, then check out the description area to fill out an application down there. Appreciate y'all. Much love as always, and have a great day.